So for adults, we are recommending about 7 to 8 hours of sleep, and studies have shown that sleep which is shorter than that, so somebody who sleeps less than 7 to 8 hours, or somebody who sleeps more than 7 to 8 hours, um, most people will have health consequences from that too. So sleeping too much is not good. Sleeping too little is not good in a long period of time.
So, I think for the audience, I would like to know, Dr. Shilpa, is give me three parameters. You say when I wake up, I need to ask myself these three questions, or I need to observe these three things to basically say, did I have a good sleep or did I not have a good sleep?
Yeah, so I'll talk about things which are dangerous. So if you're waking up with headaches, then that's something to be concerned about. You need to see someone for that. You need to see a doctor for that. If you're waking up feeling like you want to throw up, or you're vomiting, or you're feeling nauseous, like you feel like you're going to throw up, then that's something concerning. You need to see someone for that. If you're waking up after adequate hours of sleep, like we talked about, you're an adult and you slept 7 to 8 hours, and you had that consistent sort of schedule for the week, and then you're waking up and still feeling tired, and that's something that's consistent, then you need to see somebody.
Okay. And define tired for us.
So there, yeah, that's very difficult sometimes for people to understand, because there's two things, right? There is fatigue, where you feel like you have body aches and you're just tired, and then there is excessive daytime sleepiness. So you have to really differentiate that, because most sleep disorders will present with sleepiness and not just like just feeling tired. So if you're feeling tired and I tell you, okay, go and sit down and take a nap, can you take a nap? A lot of people will say, well, I'm feeling really tired, but I'm not sleepy and I can't take a nap right now. I'm just tired. My body is aching. I'm just tired. That's not a sleep problem. That you probably need to still see your doctor and evaluate why you're excessively tired and fatigued. But usually for sleep, you are sleepy. So you wake up in the morning and you feel don't feel like getting out of bed. You feel like I need to go back to sleep. I feel like I need to sleep more. You're hitting the alarm because you don't feel like you've gotten enough hours of sleep. That's the kind of tiredness I'm talking about. It's used colloquially. People will say I'm tired when they actually mean they're sleepy. So the difference is, are you falling asleep very easily? So if you're doing work but taking naps, or you would want to take a nap, or that's on your mindset, like, oh, this would be so nice if this lecture could just finish 15 minutes earlier and I could just catch a 5 minute cat nap. If that's your constant thought, you need to kind of step back and say, like, okay, why am I feeling this way? Naps are normal for children, but as adults we shouldn't be requiring naps. So if you're having enough adequate hours of sleep at night, you should not be needing naps during the day.
Okay. No, that was very helpful that you explained what tired means, because tired is a very subjective term for a lot of folks.
Yeah. So
Uh,
there are actually questionnaires which are generated, which are widely available. So you can Google these. The most well-known one is called the Epworth Sleepiness Scale. And it's a bunch of questions that it's like you basically just answer, saying that on a normal day, if you're feeling well, I'll give you some of the examples that are on this questionnaire. And I give this questionnaire to all of my patients at their first visit and all of their follow-up visit, to see how sleepy or tired they are. And that's the standardized questionnaire. So that gives us an idea. And if I evaluate this patient with this questionnaire and get a number, and I send this patient to any other doctor, they just look at that number, they know exactly where you stand in that, just like you look at sugar levels. Or
as HbA1c.
so this is the sleepiness scale. So there are multiple sleepiness scales that we do to figure out how sleepy you are and what kind of diagnostic tests we should be doing for you, how worried we should be for you. I think that's a better way of looking at it.
Okay.
So some question would be like, for example, if you are watching TV on a normal, like you've already gotten enough hours of sleep and you're not sick. And if you're just sitting and watching TV, what's the likelihood that you would doze off? If it's not at all, sometimes, most of the times, or all the time. And so we will scale this. Each of those choices have a number. So not at all is 0 points. Sometimes is 1 point. Most of the time is 2 points, and all the time is 3 points. So this is like a multiple choice, and the patient will answer, when I'm watching TV, I fall asleep all the time. That's a 3. So each of these questions we will ask like that, and then we will get the numbers and we'll total it up. If your total is more than 10, you are excessively sleepy for your age and you need to be evaluated.
Okay. So coming back to the question, what happens when you don't get adequate sleep, right? So, okay, Dr. Shilpa, can you talk about this from is it fair to talk about this from an organ by organ perspective, like what happens to the heart or what happens to the pancreas or what happens to the liver? Like, can we speak about what happens to the digestive system? Can we speak like that, or no, it's not to be evaluated that way?
Yes, I think that you can have symptoms in all of your body organs, but I think the list is just so long that we would be here forever. I think in a nutshell, I would say it does affect all of your body, but the biggest, I think I'll say like one most important thing for every organ. So, for example, for your brain, it's, people will complain. I'll tell you what the complaints are. So, people will complain about brain fog. Like they feel like they're in a fog. They just can't remember things. They can't focus on things. They're not functioning very well. That could be because of you're not sleeping well, right? And then the other thing we talked about for children specifically is hyperactivity. So they're hyperactive. They're just like not listening, temper tantrums, bad behavior. From like school teachers maybe saying bad behavior, difficult to focus, difficult to follow directions, forgetful, poor grades, things like that. So that's for children. And then for adults, it's forgetfulness, higher propensity of accidents and things like that for adults. So, and then excessive sleepiness, falling asleep during conversations, falling asleep while watching TV, falling asleep while doing work, falling asleep in lectures for college students or high school students, or even younger kids falling asleep in school. So things like that. For the heart, yes, we know that it affects your blood pressure. It increases your blood pressure. So hypertension, heart failure is can be caused by obstructive sleep apnea. It increases your risk of heart attacks 5 to 6 times more. So if you have any sleep disorders, specifically obstructive sleep apnea, it increases your risk of diabetes, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, obesity as well. So people who are trying to lose weight, if you are not sleeping well, it's harder for you to lose weight because it affects your hormones.
Okay.
Um, for
Could you go a little
children,
bit deeper into that particular science?
yeah. So we know that in for weight loss, we want to be on a good schedule, and we have certain hormones that help us lose weight. So we talk about leptin and ghrelin, and this is the ghrelin is what helps you eat, and the satiety, and then leptin is our, I guess it's sort of like insulin for diabetes. Um, and those hormones are, we know that their functioning is affected when we have sleep disorders. So if you're not sleeping adequately, or even if you're not sleeping in good hours, so people who are night shift workers tend to have more health concerns than people who are day shift workers, because of just the hormones are secreted differently. They're more resistant. There's more leptin resistance in people who are night shift workers. Also, if you stay up late, you tend to also not eat very healthy. So if you are, and I think you would account for that, if you are staying up late for a late night movie, you're not going for, you know, eating your broccoli or in the middle of the night for the night snack. You're going for the bag of chips. You're going for the cookies at night, right? And so definitely if you're staying up late and you have an altered schedule, that'll affect your weight loss journey.
Yeah.
So
I think as you're speaking, I'm beginning to understand this as there are a lot of like secondary impacts as well, besides the primary impacts on the human endocrinology. But there is the secondary impacts on loss of good executive decision making, which actually gets you
correct.
in trouble, right? So you're unable to, the frontal cortex is unable to get you the right decision, or the whatever the the brake pads on human beings are to not self destruct, right? I mean, not allowing you to make bad decisions, right? So that also gets compromised. So this thing manifests in a lot of places, right? Now
Yes.
obviously, doctor, you are a very accomplished professional, and so am I, in the sense that I did my engineering school, and we were, for us it was considered heroism to not to go on least amount of sleep, right? We were rewarded. The society would say, yo, you're doing a fantastic job, you only sleep 2 hours a day, and the rest 22 hours you're just working
Working.
hard, 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 hard. um, so anecdotally, I want to share one scenario with you. Like, I got so frustrated while I was in my engineering school that I said, no, I'm I think I just don't feel like doing it. I don't want to be in this speed competition game, right? And there was a particular subject I was supposed to go and give the exam next day. I actually literally I quit on that subject, in the sense that instead of studying till 4 a.m. in the morning, I actually ended up going to bed at 9. And I still remember, because that's there, I still remember that's the subject I got the most amount of marks. So can you explain what happened there? And I that was such an accidental revelation to me, that you would have exams at say 9 a.m. in the morning. You were supposed to show up for an exam, right? And you would be so much like, can I get one more revision in? Can I get one more revision in? And you would go literally till 5 a.m. and then catch a nap for an hour, and then shower up, eat something, and then show up for the exam.
Yeah.
Versus this, what happened?
I mean, that's a known phenomenon that, there have been studies done on this, that if you don't sleep enough, your cognitive function and your memory is decreased. So that's, I think that's what you're pertaining to, that if you don't sleep enough hours. But the thing is, when you have an exam, this is what our society has taught us, right? This is what is expected of us. That if you have an exam, you should be studying till like 2 in the morning because your exams are coming up, and the first thing to sacrifice is your sleep. And unfortunately, this is the kind of myths that we want to break, that sleep is actually important. You want to be getting more sleep when you're studying for an exam. You want to be making sure that you're getting enough hours of sleep when you're studying for an exam, because everything that you study, your brain during sleep, in layman terms, needs to put that all in, memory, and go through it and process it. So your brain needs that downtime to process the information that you're throwing at it, when you're studying for long periods of time. And so I think that's what you're talking about, and I think, and that's a known thing. But it's unfortunate that a lot of students and adults still are doing this cramming, and yeah, it may work. There's a peak maybe in the first time you do it, and then after that, the effects are actually less and less. So it is known, and there's studies that were done on it, and it showed the same information which you were able to see with yourself, which is that if you don't sleep enough hours, then your cognitive function is actually lower.
Okay. I think the same, anecdotally sharing similar stories about, immune system, right? I mean, the immune system is also. Can you speak a little bit more about it, right? I observed certain things about myself, that there are these periods of times when sleep is, and somehow I see that correlation into me getting sicker or fluer or whatever, because of that.
Yes, yes, definitely. You need to be, again, the your body is sort of under higher stress if you're not sleeping enough. So I think that is what it boils down to. And so if you are in a high stress, if your body is in a high stress state, you are definitely at higher risk of, contracting infections, being sicker, and also like other things that I talked about long term. So acute things happen, yes, and then also long term things happen, like the high blood pressure and the diabetes and the sugar, because it's affecting your sugar metabolism. It's affecting your blood pressures are peaking at night, and so all of that is affected. So one of the things that we recommend for for children and adults who are going through, for example, viral illnesses, what do we tell them? We tell them to go rest, go sleep, and that's actually a treatment, because you're trying to get your body to restore and build up the immunity again to fight off this infection and get over it. If you are more stressed and not getting enough hours of sleep, you tend to see that the infection, whatever you're fighting, is longer, it's prolonged. So you get over infections better if you have a good restorative sleep.
Right.